Hello class and welcome to our study of op art. Let's stare at that little white dot in the middle of the page for a minute and see what happens. Okay. This is about op art, which is the art of illusion. So some beginning essential questions. What is op art? What kind of artists work in op art? Where did it start? When did it start? Why were people interested in this? And how does it work? So op art is short for optical art. And what it does, it distorts reality by making a 2D surface appear to be either three-dimensional or to move or to do both. And that's accomplished through the use of lines, shapes, colors, figure-ground relationship, which is harmony, and other things. So kind of look at the snakes on the side and try to focus on their eyes and watch how they kind of slither back and forth. Pretty cool. So how op art works: when you look at things, your sight takes in the first lines of an object, and then lines are connected into shapes in your brain, and that's called a geon. So there are ventral and dorsal streams of your brain, and they'll place that object in time and space and assign it meaning. And you're going to learn about the brain function of that tomorrow. But your brain can be fooled, because when you mess around with the lines, you mess around with the geons. And the brain kind of fills in information, just like it does with the computer and implied lines. But you can manipulate the line and think 2D is 3D, moving, all sorts of things. Like if you look at the cube on the right, it kind of warps around because it's not the way it's supposed to be. It twists on itself. So exploring illusions. Look at these images and think, what do you see first? How many people are in this picture? And think about, do you see a person walking in a coat, or do you see a face, or can you see both? The person in the coat is right here, and then the face, the outside is here. Here's an eye, here's an eye, this is a nose, and this is a mouth. Are you looking at him straight ahead, or are you looking at his profile? The way the image is sliced, this part looks like a profile because it's capturing certain parts of his face. And the only hint to that you're actually looking at him straight ahead is that his eye isn't in the right space. It's a profile and you can't see his whole ear. But it's still a pretty interesting illusion. Kind of look at the red hearts and do this with the presentation itself, these illusions, because they work better if you stare at them for a long time, which is kind of awkward on a recording. But eventually the red hearts will start spinning in circles, and they will spin in opposite directions. So when did op art begin? It started around the 1960s is when it was labeled. But they were first explored back in the 1930s when there was something called the Bauhaus, which was a German design school. And it has its roots in Gestalt therapy, which is a focus on sight, patterns, and illusions. In other words, Gestalt therapy was used to explain why you notice the things you do, why you create patterns in your brain, and not just of things you see, but also behaviors and why sometimes our brain tricks us into hallucinating. This is a work by Julian Staszak, and when you look at it for a while, it starts moving, it starts undulating. It began in Europe and America, and then it had its first exhibitions in New York City, which is one of the art world centers, and they attracted the attention of the press. And then now it's kind of currently going a renaissance because of the ability to digitally manipulate things and to really make things very more complex and interesting than when you just do it with pen and pencil. And they are also, all of this knowledge is from optical illusions and how to kind of twist dimensions and add realities is used in visual programming for movies, for video games, and that's how they create things like moving snow or the surface of water or things that are kind of shimmering. This is an early work by Bridget Riley, where it's a fairly simple checkerboard, but then it converges down and kind of bends in the middle. Well, not the middle, but towards the right. So artists explored this because of the influences in the 1960s. There was a lot of emerging technology. The computers had just started being used. They were biggest buildings, but they were starting modernism, which was the art movement and philosophical movement of reducing everything to its base elements. So everybody was trying to focus on one element when they made their arts. The people we're looking at chose line, others chose shape or color. There was a lot of exploration of optics and release of optical information from the military, and that came out of World War II. There is a whole division in the military that is dedicated to optical illusions. And in World War II, they learned how, through the use of optical illusions, to make people think that there were huge armies, that there were warships on the horizon, or to make those disappear. They figured out how to make something as big as an aircraft carrier visually disappear. That's pretty cool. If you got close to it, of course you could see it, but from a distance, like a scout plane or a scout ship, something like that, couldn't see it. And then Gestalt therapy was very popular at the time. It kind of replaced Freudian and Jungian psychology in popularity. So it was trendy, in other words. This is Victor Varsely's Zebras. There's a whole series of zebras and how they are not really zebras. I mean, they're zebras, but when you look at them, the lines kind of run into each other, and one zebra kind of turns into another zebra, and they're just a big old tangle of zebras. They look pretty happy, though. A few examples. What do you see when you look at this? Can you pick out the girl in the dress or the person wearing a dress? You see, here's a hand, there's the leg, and there's the fabric being pulled up. The legs are crossed. They're kind of like pulling the dress up over their knees. This is a spherical illusion. Different spherical illusions, depending upon how you transmit things. One of these will look like it's dipping into the surface and one like it's pulling out of the surface. But which one is which changes with the person. You might think that the first one dips in, the white, the one at the bottom pops up, but other people see it in reverse and think the one at the bottom dips in and the one at the top pops out. Can you see it both ways? Okay, now your assignment for today is to do an artist exploration. There is a link of UpArt artists on the classroom page. You're going to choose one of those and explore their work. So look at the different things that they made, read their Wikipedia entry if they have one, find out some things about it. And you're going to make a slide, just one, that is like the example over there on the right. And it'll say, meet the artist, and then who is their name, when did they live, which would be the years that they were alive. If they are still alive, put the year that they were born, and then just put a dash. That means I was born now and I'm still kicking. Where they lived or worked. What materials did they use? Were they, and you have to read the text to find this out, or look in the captions of the pictures, because a lot of time it will say the media. For example, if it says something like oil, that means oil paint. Acrylic is acrylic paint. If it's a lithograph, that's a print. But just try to find out, and then read through and see if you can figure out why they made op art. Why were they attracted to making this? And then on the other side of your slide, an example of their work goes here. And you can just copy and paste that right in. Okay? This is how you work with Google Slides as far as that goes. Let me summon up a slideshow. Slides. And if I was going to make that slide, this is what I would do. Click on Start a New Presentation, blank. You can see all the tons of work that I've been working on. And you get to your nice, happy blank slide. Okay? And it has this kind of default layout. So let's just give it a second to think. I'm not at school recording this, so this computer is a little tiny bit slower. Alright. When you are working with slides for art class, either choose a white background or a black background. So either the simple light or simple dark themes over here are the ones that work really well. Because if you're putting in pictures of art, you don't need these graphics to kind of people from that picture. Now, to change the layout of your slide, go up here to Layout, click on that. Let it think for a minute. And see, here's all the different options. And the one that you want to choose is one column text right here. Click on that, and it changes the format of your slide for you. So this is where your Meet the Artist goes. Okay. And then to get a picture into this slide, this is the absolute easiest way to do it. Is we'll go to the plus sign. To open a tab, we're going to Google Op Art by Bridget Riley, which is an artist on that list. And there are pictures. Go to Images. And you have to be careful because there are people that, you know, kind of copy the op art of other people. So you want to do that, what they actually made, what your artist actually made. So I am going to choose, and it helps you up here at the top. So I'm going to look for original. And here's the one that I had in the slideshow before. So I'm going to click on that, and that's important because you want it to pop up over here. Down here in the corner is the size, and you want it to have a decent size, so it's not tiny. Right mouse, or double click if you're Chromebook, copy image. If you don't have a copy image, if you click on it and then go Control C, that's copy. Go back to your presentation, right click, paste, or Control V. And then move it over so it's even. I have space here, so I'm going to go ahead and make this larger. And that's all I do. And now it's up to you. That's it.